Okay, so let's get started because we have to go through a few things today, so we better make good use of our time. So week 11, we're getting there. This and next weekend will be the last 2 weekends with new content. So actually, let me open our schedule. So according to our schedule here, we are right here in week 11. So we're going to be talking about deployment. Then week 12, which is next weekend, we're going to be talking about identity framework. It is the deadline for the project proposal and for assignment 3 submission. Okay. If you don't have a group yet, make sure that you find a group. Make sure that you find a group that has less than 4 people. Join them. If you're having problems, let me know. But again, try to work on your own to find a group. Okay? You do need a group. You cannot do the project by yourself. Okay? Then in 2 weekends, we have tests. We're going to have our second test. So this weekend here, the first half, we're going to be doing some practicing of some of the things that we have done before, but we'll also be doing a little bit of practice for the test. As I mentioned before, the test is a multiple choice test, okay? But it has 2 questions that are open-ended questions. They are not multiple choice. They are more coding related, not extensively. You don't have to upload a project at the end, but it will involve some coding, okay? But most of the tests will be multiple choice with the exception of 2 questions, okay? So that's week 13, and then week 14, the last weekend, we're going to have the project submission and the project demonstration. Again, the project demonstration, you're going to be standing here, hopefully maybe with a PowerPoint that you can guide us through what you have done. You can demonstrate your project as well. You can bring your laptop, you can connect it here, okay? But in a nutshell, that's what we have left for our semester, okay? Any questions about our schedule for the next 3 weekends? Okay, if you have any questions, let me know.
How much do you want in the proposal? Like how long should the proposal be?
A page.
1 page away?
Yeah, I mean a bullet point of those are the views, those are the actions, those are the controllers. What is the goal of each? What is the objective of each one? Why you are creating that controller, creating that view, creating that action? Just explain that. Controller most likely going to have 1 additional controller, maybe. It's really up to you. But again, what is it that you are adding to your assignment 3 to fulfill the feature that you have chosen, you have been assigned to, okay? You have chosen a feature. That feature you have to implement. Then how are we going to implement that? What are the... Again, it's almost like a plan before you code. You know? Great. Okay, so again, if you have any questions about this, let me know. In terms of what we're going to be talking about today, half of the class, I'll be doing a demonstration. The second half, you're going to be doing that yourselves. That will be worth bonus 10. And you're going to see what you're going to be going through. Today is about deployments. Deployment. So when you hear the word deployment, what do you think about? What do you think that you're going to be getting out of this class today? Too early to answer that? Gary? Delivering, that's fine. That it is. So we're going to be delivering that to where? Where are you going to be delivering that to? Public. To make it public, to make it available so other people can see that. You know? So we're going to be doing that. So my goal today is before you cross that door at the end of the day, all of you have a live URL. that you can give to anyone out there, and you can show, hey, this is my work. So that's my goal for today, for each one of you. Deployment. Okay, so today we're going to be creating a database on Azure. What is Azure? Microsoft Cloud Platform, yeah. So we're going to be creating our database here. Not only the database, but we're going to be deploying the application to Azure as well. Okay? So we're going to be creating accounts. We're going to be doing a lot of, it will be a lot of step-by-step here that we're going to go through. Okay? So we're going to focus on Azure. What is the other platform out there that competes with Azure? AWS is the most obvious one. So AWS is a lot older than Azure, but I'm not sure which one at this point in time is the biggest one, but they are head-to-heads. So as we are using Microsoft tools, we're going to stick to Azure for the deployments of our live applications, okay? So what I'll be talking about today is the second half of chapter 12 of the book, how to deploy an application live, okay? There are no videos associated with that chapter. However, I put aside the recording of another section, so you can use that during our second half as maybe a reference point, okay? Not going to be coding today. Today is really about deployment. Today is really about walking through of how we're gonna put live our sports store with two databases. So let's start with Azure first. So I had a few people mentioning about what Azure is. Let's have a closer look of what Azure can offer to us. And again, it's just an overview and introduction to Azure. Azure has a lot of stuff there. Video is about 10 minutes long. However, we're not going to be going through the entire thing because I want to focus on what is more relevant to us, okay? So let's have a look at that video there.
From Simply Learn, and today we'll be talking about one of the fastest growing and second largest cloud computing platform in the market right now. Hi guys, this is Rahul from Simply Learn, and today we'll be talking about one of the fastest growing and second largest cloud computing platform in the market right now. I'm talking about Microsoft Azure. Now before we begin, let's talk about what we'll be covering in this video. First, we'll talk about why you should be interested in cloud computing, what exactly is cloud computing, what is Microsoft Azure, some of its services, and the users of Azure. Now, let's start with why you should be interested in cloud computing. Now, let's say you have an idea for a revolutionary application, an idea that ticks both the boxes when it comes to good applications. One, it has great user experience, and two, it will be highly profitable. Now, for it to be successful, you'll have to release it on the internet. People need to use it, they need to spread the word, and then it will become truly famous. However, for that, you're going to need servers, storage, developers, a dedicated network, and application security to ensure your application works the way it does. Now, these are a lot of components, and that's where the problem lies. There are two major disadvantages to this approach. The initial setup is very expensive and risky, which means this requires a huge amount of capital upfront to ensure that it works properly. And the downside is, if your application does not become famous or it doesn't return as much as you expect it to, you're probably not going to get the money back, which means it provides a huge amount of risk. And then, on the flip side, if it does become famous, your number of users have increased, which means that you'll have to buy more servers and storage systems to keep up with your demand. And this problem can be solved with the help of cloud computing. Now that you know why you should be interested in cloud computing, let's go into the details of what exactly is cloud computing. Now, cloud computing is basically a platform that gives you access to a number of computing resources. And this is possible with the help of the internet. Now, as a user, all you need to do is go to a cloud service provider through your laptop or your computer, through the internet, of course, connect to that cloud service provider, and then there you go. You have access to computing resources. Now, computing resources may include, serverless computing, virtual machines, storage, and so much more. Now, let's dig a little deeper. Now, basically, these cloud service providers actually have massive data centers. Now, in these data centers, what you have are hundreds of servers. Also included are storage systems and mainly several organizations' critical components. So these are very secure, safe locations where a large amount of data is stored, hence the name data centers. Now, it is to these data centers that users actually connect to collect their data or use it. So actually, users can access any service based on their requirement. Now, like I told you, there's a number of services the user can use. For example, now if you want a notification every time someone sends you a message, or perhaps once you get an email, you need a copy of it created. Now, for all of this, there are services. And most importantly, almost every cloud service provider has this option where users only pay for the service that they use. So there's no charge upfront where they tell you that you need to pay X amount of money so that you can use our services. You're only paying for the amount of time that you're using these services. Now, cloud computing is used for a wide variety of reasons. Firstly, there's machine learning and data analysis. Now, basically, there are services that analyze your data and tell you how you can work with this data better. Then there's data storage and backup, streaming media content. For example, did you know that the shows that you watch on Netflix, actually all of them are in the cloud. So you're connected to the internet and you browse through Netflix and you get access to the videos. These are possible with the help of cloud service providers. There's creating and testing applications, automating software delivery, which is a component in DevOps, and hosting blogs and applications. So now, what is Azure? What's the big cloud service provider all about? So Azure is a cloud computing platform provided by Microsoft. Now, it's basically an online portal through which you can access and manage resources and services. Now, resources and services are nothing but, you can store your data and you can transform the data using services that Microsoft provides. Again, all you need is the internet and being able to connect to the Azure portal. Then you get access to all of the resources and their services. In case you want to know more about how it's different from its rival, which is AWS, I suggest you click on the top right corner and watch the AWS versus Azure video so that you can clearly tell how both these cloud service providers are different from each other. Now, here are some things that you need to know about Azure. It was launched in February 1st, 2010, which is significantly later than when AWS was launched. It's free to start and has a pay-per-use model, which means, like I said before, you need to pay for the services you use through Azure. And one of the most important selling points is that 80% of Fortune 500 companies use Azure services, which means that most of the bigger companies of the world actually recommend using Azure. And then Azure supports a wide variety of programming languages, the C#, Node.js, Java, and so much more. Another very important selling point of Azure is the amount of data centers it has across the world. Now, it's important for a cloud service provider to have many data centers around the world because it means that they can provide their services to a wider audience. Now, Azure has 42, which is more than any cloud service provider has at the moment. It expects to have 12 more in a period of time, which brings its total number of regions it covers to 54. Now, let's talk about Azure services. Now, Azure services have 18 categories and more than 200 services, so we clearly can't go through all of them. It has services that cover compute, AI and machine learning, integration, management tools, identity, DevOps, web, and so much more. You're going to have a hard time trying to find a domain that Azure doesn't cover. And if it doesn't cover it now, you can be certain they're working on it as we speak. So first, let's start with the compute services. First, virtual machine. With this service, what you're getting to do is to create a virtual machine of Linux or Windows operating system. It's easily configurable. You can add RAM, you can decrease RAM, you can add storage, remove it. All of it is possible in a matter of seconds. Now let's talk about the second service, cloud service. Now with this, you can create an application within the cloud, and all of the work after you deploying the application that is taken care of by Azure, which includes provisioning the application, load balancing, ensuring that the application is in good health, and all of the other things are handled by Azure. Next up, let's talk about Service Fabric. Now with Service Fabric, the process of developing a microservice is greatly simplified. So you might be wondering, what exactly is a microservice? Now a microservice is basically an application that consists of smaller applications coupled together. Next up, functions. Now with functions, you can create applications in any programming language that you want. Another very important part is that you don't have to worry about any hardware components. You don't have to worry what RAM you require or how much storage you require. All of that is taken care of by Azure. All you need is to provide the code to Azure and it will execute it and you don't have to worry about anything else. Now let's talk about some networking services. First up, we have Azure C.
Okay, this is enough to just to give you an idea. Again, just an overview. We're going to be using actually this element here. We're going to be using cloud services to host our application, okay? And we're going to be using database as well. Any question comes to mind based on what you saw here in the video? Anything comes to mind? I'm not an Azure specialist, by no means. So I know how to make a deployment, but Azure has way, way more than that available there. So again, you're gonna realize quickly that some things in Azure, sometimes they work smoothly, sometimes you have to wait a little bit, sometimes it does work, you have to try again. So you're gonna see potential hiccups as we go through the day-to-day, okay? So as I said, this is really about how to configure, how to set things up, okay? So I'll be walking you through. The first step that you're gonna have to face is creating an Azure account, okay? You may have one already, you may have tested, tried before, you may not. If you don't, you can use your Centennial email, okay, to give it a try. If, by any chance, if you have used your Centennial email before with Azure, you may no longer have credits there for a free account, but that's fine. You can always open a new email address with outlook.com. So if you go to azure.microsoft.com, there is a start free trial or start free, and then you have the option to create a new account. So you can always create a new account in case your Centennial account does not work well there. I will not walk you through this particular step here because I have already created mine. And this is just a basic account creation. There is nothing much that I can show you. It will ask you for your name, passwords, what's the email address that you want to create. That's it, just some basic information that you have seen a ton of times on other websites, okay? So, but again, this is the first step. You need an Azure account. This is the address that you go to provision yours. What I would recommend is that let's pay attention here as I go through, and then in the second half of the class, you have a chance to do that yourselves. If you want to give it a try as you go along, that's fine, but I will not be stopping too much other than to address some questions, but to troubleshoot, this is not the right time to troubleshoot. Troubleshoot is in the second half of the class, okay? And for the second half, again, you may want to make some notes as we go along because there are so many steps. This is already available on Centennial, so you can download this presentation and you can go step by step. You can make your points there. I'm going to also make available a link that points to this recording for another section that I have already taught this. So you can have a look at that in our second half of the class. So you're going to have plenty of resources to go through on your own for your bonus 9, for your bonus 10. Bonus 10, before the end of today, of the class today, you have to post your live URL for Sports Store on Azure. That's what your bonus 10 is all about. No need to upload project files, no need for anything like that. When you go to bonus 10, in your text, you just paste the URL address of your live Sports Store website, okay? But again, you're going to focus on that on the second half of the class today. So, assuming that we have an account already with Azure, which I do, we go to the next step here. Actually, let me just quickly open azure.microsoft.com. So again, you can just start a free account, or you can click sign in there, okay? And then it will walk you through either for you to log in with your Centennial account or for you to create a new Outlook.com account. If you have questions, again, let me know throughout. I have Padlet open as well. You can ask from Padlet too. Okay, so once you have your Azure account, now we can go to Azure, and after you have the account, you can just go straight to portal.azure.com. And in the Azure portal, on our account, we're going to create two databases, okay? We're going to create the products database for the sports store and the identity, which will store usernames, passwords, all of that, okay? So we're going to create both of them. Again, whenever we're using Azure to create new servers, new database, new applications, we have to be patient there because it takes a little bit of time for the platform to create a new database, to create a new server, to create a new application. So there is a bit of waiting that we need to do when we're dealing with Azure. So let's do that. So let's go to portal.azure.com. It will ask you to log in with an account. I have a few different accounts here that are related to Microsoft. So I have set this one aside for demonstrating the process. So this one here, again, this is a new account. You can create a new account as well. A new account will give you $250 of free usage, and I think it's 30 or 60 days free trial. Yeah, so again, you're gonna have plenty of time to test this out. One thing that I will show at the very end is how you can delete everything. So let's say in a week, remind yourselves to go back and delete, just so you don't leave resources there that can potentially, because to validate your account, it may ask you for your credit card information as well, okay? So keep that in mind. So you don't want to leave things hanging here over a long period of time because maybe you're going to be charged at some point something. I mean, I have a similar setup with AWS, and here and there I'm charged $2, $1.50. Again, not much because those are not live sites. Those are just test things that I have done. Maybe you want to keep the URLs, maybe not for the sports store, but maybe for your projects. You want to deploy them live because maybe you want to add to your portfolio that. Maybe you want to show that URL in a job interview or something like that, you know. So again, those videos of the step-by-step will always be available there. So keep a reference. Maybe whenever you may need to have a live URL, go through the videos in the future and deploy your application. But again, I will show you how to delete everything so that there's no chances that you can have resources being charged there and you don't recall it, okay? Anyway, this is what you see when you log into Azure. It's kind of a dashboard, has a lot of options, very easy to be a bit overwhelmed with too many options. But we have to think about what is it that we want to do. We want to create two databases. So when we look there, where do you think that we should go? Let's go to SQL database, okay? Let's go there. And let's start from there. Okay, so here, a very simple interface. We're just going to click on Ads. In a way, this is a CRUD interface on Azure. We would have records here. I have none, no database. But you can click Ads to add a new database. That's what we're going to do. We're going to be adding the product database. Now, it will show you, it will ask you a few questions when you're creating your new database. First one that it will show the subscription. So I'm using my free trial here. I have no other subscriptions. It's filled automatically, so you can just leave it as is. It also asks for a resource group. What is a resource group? If I click here, there are none. A resource group is just a way that you can group, that you can categorize different services that you are using. Let's say that you have two applications. You have Sports Store and you have recipes. And then you can create a group called Sports Store, a group called Recipes. Then the database related to Sports Store, you keep under the first group. The database related to recipe, you keep under the second group. So it's just a way, resource group is just a way to categorize. You just give a name, and that's it. Just give it a name, no other additional information to create a resource group. It's just a way to group services together that are, because otherwise you may end up with, again, depending on how you use Azure, with dozens of services there, and you may not recall, okay, which ones are related to this application, to that other application. So it's a way to group them, and you have to set it up. It's a required information. You just have to click on Create New, give it a name. I'm gonna, just for the sake of example here, I'm gonna say, so locader dash resource. And again, it sets my resource group. That's it, it's just a simple name. It doesn't have to be unique across Azure. Some things that you're going to be setting up, they have to be unique. Some things don't have to. Scroll down a little bit, and you're going to see two more pieces of information here. Database name. I'm going to call it products. That's the first one that you're going to be creating. Okay. And server. So our SQL database needs to be stored, needs to be sitting in a SQL server, in a SQL environment. So we have to create a new server to store our database. When we are running locally, we are using the local DB, the local database, which is provided by Visual Studio when we are running it locally. However, when we are running this on Azure or someplace else, we have to have a server of some sort that will store the database. So we have to create the server because we don't have anyone here. So let's click on Create New, and a new pop-up will show up in the right-hand side where we have to give the server a name, we have to create a user, we have to give it a password, and we have to tell the location. Where will this server be located? And I'll tell you in a second why this is relevant. So let's start with the server name. So I'm just going to say locader-server. If you are doing this while I'm doing it here, don't use the same name, please. What happened in the other class is that someone went ahead and created already with the same name. When I hit OK, I got an error there because somebody else had created one already. Anyway, server name has to be unique. Okay? So if you type something very simple there, it will say it's taken or something like that. So again, make it a little bit more complex. In the end, the database address will be the server name plus .database.windows.net. That will be the server address that will store your database. Okay? So server name, right there. Then I'll create a username. The user here will be the administrator of this server. So you need to keep a record of this username. So I'm just going to say coder user. I'm going to generate a password. By the way, what I like to do is I like to start a text file that where I keep this information. So server, user, because we're going to be using these a little bit later as well. Password, so my user is this one here. And then I'm gonna, again, you can type your passwords. I'm just gonna use a password generator that I have in my browser. So here's my passwords. Okay, and here I will type in again. So once again, server name, and I'll keep this part as well for my reference. So this is the entire address of the server. Again, the server is not just this name, but the entire address. And then location. Location, what do you think that this location is about? What is that? Well, we are creating a server. Even though it's a virtual server, but it's sitting somewhere. So we are just saying, where is it? Where do you want to create it? How would you go about choosing a place? Why would you care about that? About? Latency. Yeah, what is that?
How long it takes for you.
Got it. So how long does it take to access that? Now, what should be your decision about? How should we decide to pick one of those? What should drive your decision? Pick one year where? I guess at your users. In this case, us. Okay? Pick one that is closer to us. Pick one that is closer to where your users are coming from. If your users are mostly Canadian, pick one from Canada. Pick one from Canada Central, Canada East, Canada West. If it's from the US, there are plenty of US ones. If it's Europe as well, again, you have plenty of options there. Okay? When I select, for some reason, when I select Canada East, it says that it's not available for my subscription, maybe because it's a free subscription, and this is only available for paid ones. I'm not sure. But again, I'm not going to debate what is that about. I'm just going to pick another one. So you can go Canada Central. You can go US East as well. Again, either one would be fine. I have been picking US East, but again, it should be fine the other one too. Once you have that all set, just hit OK. And now you see that the server has been filled out with the new server that you have created. Okay? So here, what have we done? Put the name of the resource, database name, and server name. Now, we have created a new resource because this was the first time that we have created a database. Next time, because we have to do this twice for the second database now, the resource group will already be created. The server will already be created as well. We don't need to create new ones for the second database, okay? What I would recommend you to do from here, just click the button that says Review plus Create. It's just a page that shows a summary of what you have chosen, okay? And from here, it gives you an estimate of pricing per month. Again, we are using a free account with credits. You're going to see a pop-up here and there that shows the amount of credit that I have. I started with 250. Now I might be at 247 or something like that. So again, it's just an estimate per month. I can just hit create, and now we do some waiting, okay? It's doing right now two things. It's creating the server that we have asked it to create, so it's still in the process. And then once the server is created, it will create our database, okay? So it says your deployment is underway. You can move away from the screen. You don't need to be waiting here, because it's behind the scenes, it's already getting things done. But for instance, if I go back to home, if I go to SQL database, I don't see it yet. Okay? If I go back to home and if I go to all resources, I don't see the resources yet. Again, I've created a new resource, a new database, and a new server. Nothing is showing up yet. No problem. Again, just give it a little bit of time, and it will show up. Few minutes, 2, 3, 5 minutes. Now, instead of being waiting here, actually before I move forward, any questions? See, it's showing the credit remaining, $247 for my free trial. Any questions so far? A lot of little details, but once you know the steps, it's just about going through them once again, okay? Okay, so let's go back to SQL database, and let's start our second one. Even though the first one is not showing up yet, but that's fine. Let's start the second one here. Let's go to Ads. Now, I no longer have to create a new resource. I can keep the same resource there, okay? Database name. I'm going to call this identity. You see, here it's already showing Solo Coder server. It may or may not be showing. If it's not showing for you yet, you just need to refresh. Keep refreshing until it shows up. Don't create a new one, because you don't need a new server for the second database. Keep both databases under the same server. You don't need a second server for that. So again, if it doesn't show yet in yours, before you proceed here, keep refreshing this, and it will eventually show the new server that you have created, okay? Let's give it a name for our second database. I'm going to call it identity. And as I did before, I'm going to click on review and create. It shows a summary. I'm going to hit create. And again, doing the same thing for the second database. I can leave the screen. I can go back to SQL Server database, and now I can see products. Now it's showing the first one that we created. It's showing products, but not yet identity. Look, the server. You see the server, that's the one that I have created as well. Again, when you're navigating here on Azure, we have created a resource group. So I can go here, I can see the resource group that I have created. By the way, once you are ready to get rid of everything, very easy. You just go back to resource groups. You can open your resource group. If you have added everything under this resource, open the resource group and click delete resource group. It will delete the resource group and everything that is inside of this resource group, okay? So it gets rid of everything. Okay, so SQL database, yeah, so identity is still being, the way we usually say, it's been commissioned, it's been created. Let's have a look here. So even though identity is not showing up yet, that's fine. Let's keep moving forward. Now it's where things get a little bit trickier, and I have to talk about a few things. So the first thing is that what you're going to be doing today, you cannot do that on your laptops, because if you're connected to the wireless network here, the wireless network blocks a few ports that we're going to need to be able to deploy our application. So we have to do that using the workstations, okay? Again, you will not be able to do at home. Yes, perfect, fine, that's fine, it will work. However, here at the college, the wireless network has some ports that are closed, and it cannot get through when we are communicating with Azure, okay? This is just about creating the database.
So in order to generate the URL for the bonus tenant, we should be on the...
We should because not for everything, but I'm going to make it simple and just say, jump to a workstation, because again, you're going to get stuck very shortly when we try to run the migration scripts to create the tables in the remote Azure database. You're going to get stuck if you're using wireless. You can use Azure here in the browser. But again, when it comes to connecting Visual Studio to Azure, that's where you're going to have a problem if you are using the wireless network. Okay? So again, the workstations will work just fine. The other option, just to give you as an alternative, it's what I'll be doing next. I'll be connecting my laptop to my cell phone data. Okay? So if you want to do that, it will work. Okay? That's the alternative. Okay? Again, you have the workstations, it will work from them, or if you have data plan, you can connect with your data plan, it will work as well. That's what I've been doing because I use my laptop, not the workstation. Do you have any hackers in the class? Just so I know that if I should activate my wireless or not. Should I be concerned about anybody?
Samsung.
What is that?
I see Samsung on here.
There's what?
No, I saw Samsung on here. I thought it was your fault.
Oh. Okay, let's see if we have our new. See, now we have both tables. Sorry, not tables. Both databases, okay? So we are ready to move to the next step here. Okay, so next step. We have to open the firewall. So who knows what is a firewall?
Basically, it sniffs packets, and each packet has to have like a certain amount of metadata with it. So like the packet has a payload and some like header, and the firewall checks whether the packet has specific header information. And if it doesn't, then the packet's not allowed in. If it does, then it's allowed to go through.
Awesome. Good. Good. I'm glad that, like another student from another session says that it's a wall on fire. No, not exactly that. No. Okay, so yes, you went very detailed there, Ben. In a nutshell, is a way. It's a mechanism that blocks communication from inside the server to outside, and from outside coming inside. Okay, so. Remember, we have created a server now. We have created a server, a SQL server. It's still a server, even though it's virtual, but it's a server nonetheless, okay? So we have to open one. We have to open an access point to that server so that our local computers can connect to that server and can create the tables that we need to create on that server, okay? So I'm going to walk you through on how to do that now. So back here on Azure, I'm going back to the dashboard, back to the home. We should go to all resources. And when you go to all resources, you're going to see database 1, database 2, and the server here. Okay? So you see the type, SQL Server. So with this one here, I can just click on it. So again, we have one server with two databases. I'm looking at the server details here. The only thing that I need to focus here is show firewall settings. Okay? So if I click on show firewall settings, I'll be able to open a door to that server that I need to be able to create the tables on both databases. Now, the first setting that we need to configure here, we need to do two things here. We need to turn this on where it says allow Azure services and resources to access this server. Okay? What is this about? Well, let me turn this on. This is about the fact that we have, on Azure, we have our database server, and we're going to have in a second our application as well. So our application needs to communicate back and forth with the database. So we have database there, we're going to have our application there as well. They need to communicate between each other. So what this setting is doing is allow Azure services, like any other services there, to be able to communicate with this server. So it's asking, can other services in Azure communicate back with the server? Yes, we are setting this up as yes. Otherwise, the application will not be able to communicate with the database. Okay, so that's the first thing that we do. This is again part of the firewall. We are just allowing Azure to communicate with that database server. That's the first one. The second one, we have to open the server to our local IP address. Why do we need to do that? Because we need to create the tables from our local system. How do I identify myself to Azure? What is my ID? What is my identification from a computer perspective, from a workstation perspective? My IP address. So here it says client IP address. This IP is my local IP. Okay? It's my local IP from the connection with my cell phone. Okay? Yes?
Would that be dynamic or?
It's dynamic. Every time that if I disconnect right now and I try to reconnect, it will change.
Would that affect the firewall rule?
It will. If I add this IP here to the rule, which I'm going to add in a second, and it changes, I won't be able to connect again. But just keep in mind that this is not about running the application. It's about creating the tables there. The first time, it's kind of a one-time. For our purpose here, this will be kind of a one-time only type of job. So we don't need to maintain this going forwards. If someone out there accesses the URL, the final URL, they don't need to have their IP address unblocked there. It's just that we need that because we are creating the tables ourselves. Okay? Again, I'm opening this up because I need to create the tables there. Okay? Anyway, here, this is just information. It's not doing anything yet. It's not saving this yet. It's just saying, hey, do you know that your IP address is this one, by the way? Because it's kind of assuming that you may want to open the firewall to this IP address. So for us to open this up, I can click where it says add client IP. Okay? What it does, it creates a new rule. Rule name is not so important here. I can say something like this. I can say, cell phone. And then it says start IP, end IP, because you can specify a range of IPs. In my case, in your case as well, we just want to open to the, start with this IP, end with this IP. We are just open for one IP address. Again, if you are doing this remotely, from the wireless network, you're going to see an IP there, but it will not work. Okay? Again, you can try, but it will not work unless you are using, again, your data plan, your cell phone to connect. But from the college's network, it will not work. Now, once this is in place, I can just save. So again, what I did, I turned this on, and I added my IP address. Okay? if you do this with the workstations, desktop stations here at the college, it will work. It does work. I'm going to save this, and we are done here. We are done with this, with the firewall. With the firewall. Any questions here? Is this wireless thing clear? Wireless does not work, only workstations. If you want wireless, you may want to connect with your data there. It will work from home if you try this from home, okay?
I used a workstation, but this will not work.
What did not work? What are you trying to do? Because we didn't try anything yet. What did not work? You have spaces. Most likely you copied and you have spaces.
Oh.
Get rid of spaces if you have. Beginning or end, okay? Yeah, so if you are setting the IPs manually, make sure that you don't have spaces before the IP or spaces after the IP, otherwise it will not allow you to save. But again, you can do it manually, or you can just click Add Client IP and it will do that for you. Okay, let's do this. Before we proceed, let's get a 5 minutes break. Once we come back, we keep moving forward. 5 minutes. What's happening? How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good.
I had a question for when we're creating a connection to the database.
Yep.
I understand everything except the part where we put the connection in the home controller or whatever controller we're using is constructed.
The connection, I mean the DB,
The
repository?
Yeah, but it's dependently injected on
Yes.
the entity framework, right?
Yes, correct.
But why do we put it in the constructor of the controller? That's the only thing I know.
Because the constructor is the one that does the dependency injection automatically for us.
So it's calling it every time its home controller is being created, it's creating that entity.
Yes, yes, yes. So we don't have to worry about that. MVC is doing that for us behind the scenes. Otherwise, we would have to use some methods that would get the dependency, but manually we would get that. With the constructor, it gets that to us. It gives to us automatically.
MVC, is it doing something?
It's doing that. It's behind the scenes. Oh, you have a constructor here. Great. What are the parameters? Oh, you have a parameter that is an interface.
Yeah, and it's gonna go check the dependency.
Yes, check the dependency and then insert the correct one.
Got it.
Okay?
I was just trying to understand why.
Got it. It's connecting the dots.
The source name, you can just put in anything.
Any name, yes. Yep.
Just a quick question. So for comp229 databases PLSQL class, we're given project where we have to link.
Is that the Oracle one?
Yeah, Oracle database. We're given project where we have to link like front end, and we could choose to use ASP.NET, which my group is doing. Then they want us to link like ASP.NET MVC to the Oracle database.
Guys.
Is that like difficult, or is there like resources on?
Actually, I just gave an URL to a student that I saw. Again, I have not done personally, but let me see if I can find that. So, Oracle C# .NET Core Entity Framework. See if I can find that easily here. I think, let's see. Actually, let me put Oracle at the very end.
Oh, is it like it's probably a Microsoft?
It was a Microsoft resource. Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was. And again, I'm not seeing this right here. Let's see.
Was it one of the official ones? Like
It was an official one with a bunch of. Let me see. Let me remember here which section was that one. It was Friday. It was. I think I remember. Let me see here. Oh, I know. It's Padlets 06. This one. Go to Padlets 06. 006. And you're gonna see an Oracle link there. Again, that was a link that had this thing here, Ben. It has a bunch of so it has, so in this link, it has an Oracle.EntityFramework core library. So most likely you have to import that
Okay.
and then go from there.
Okay,
So
like it's
So it says here pre-release. Yeah, I'm not sure what's the status of that. You know, you have to make sure that Oracle is at least 11.2, because it's,
11.2?
yeah.
I think in class we use Oracle 12.
Okay.
Yeah, we use 12.
So this should work. So you could use, now, according to the student on Friday, she says that you have to use SQL. You're not going to be using Entity Framework.
I mean, we have to use a SQL. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. The code that we're writing for the backend has to be in PLSQL.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, maybe this will not be a good option because you see, Entity Framework, you don't have to write SQL Server statements. You just have to, you just use the entities. It writes for you that.
Okay.
So it may not be the best option. You may have to use something like, you may have to use ADO.NET. You have, see, what we have now, we have our repositories. We are using Entity Framework repositories.
Right, okay.
And again, we don't write SQL Server here,
Right.
SQL statements. But if the instructor needs you to write SQL statements, you're going to have to create your own repository to access Oracle with those statements, you know.
Okay, and that would be different from using
Entity Framework, yes.
Okay.
It will be, because again, with Entity Framework, you see here, we don't write SQL statements.
Right, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So what was the name? EDOs?
So you can try something like this, .NET, ADO, DB, Oracle. Let me see here. Let me see what comes. How to open ADO connection and record sets here. And let's see if this mentions anything about Oracle. Oracle. Okay, there's no Oracle here. Okay. Okay, there is a. Let me put a plus here so it forces. Okay, yeah, so there are, okay, Oracle and ADO. Okay,
Oh,
this is something.
this could work.
This could work here, yeah, see.
Oh, at the top it says deprecated. Types are deprecated. Third-party Oracle.
Use a third-party Oracle provider. Well, maybe this third party that it's talking about here, it's something specific to Oracle already. So maybe from Oracle's own website, you know. So you see, I don't know how old this is. This might be quite old. See, this might be it, you know.
So OL, OLED.
See, OLEDB.NET provider. See,
Oh,
C#.
okay.
Some
This is
SQL. This is all OLEDB. Sorry, let me.
OLEDB.
I'll paste
okay.
this.
Oh,
I'll
okay,
paste
great.
this in our Padlets.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm gonna try to connect it to. Yeah. So the other option we have is using PHP, but I thought, I mean, it would be so easy for us to like create like a little ASP website.
Yeah,
and
if
just
you are more familiar with that.
I don't know PHP at all, so.
But the question was good, and he really liked it. He really liked the question.
Is it posted already?
No. I just recorded Thursday, so it will be live in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks because I have a backlog.
Okay.
So
I'm glad that he liked it because I wanted to pick something that wasn't necessarily like ASP because you were saying it's not necessarily.
got it. No, he really liked it, and he went a little. He had to step back and give a more broader overview of how he works.
Okay.
So it was good. It was good.
Cool.
Thank you. Okay, so let's keep moving forward. Come on, let's do it. Okay, so let's see where we are. So we have done that. We have opened up. We have opened up the firewall. We have added our IP address. And now, let's get our connection string. Who remembers what is a connection string? What is a connection string? Come, Carlos. I want to hear your voice, Carlos. I missed your voice. I told you that. Anyway, what is a connection string? Come on.
Base which says which database to go to. It's in the JSON.
Yeah, it's the address. It's the address of the database. It gives the address. So we have addresses for our two databases as well. For the identity database, for the product database. Let's get them. Let's get those addresses, okay? How do we do that in Azure? Let's go back to I always go back to the home, and from there, I go to the resource. So I'm back at home, and then I'll go to SQL Server database. I have both databases here. I'm going to click on the first one that we created, products. Here, I'm looking at the details of the product database. I can go to connection strings, show database connection strings. Okay? I'll click there. When using connection strings, copy and paste. Don't type anything, okay? Because it's very long and it's very easy to give a typo, to miss something and then the connection doesn't work. Let me tell you, I'm going to repeat this a few times. The most common problem of doing what we are doing is getting the connection string wrong. It's getting the username wrong. It's getting the password wrong. So make sure that you keep track of those. Copy and paste. Don't type in. Again. So connection string, you're going to click the copy button to copy that. See, right here, copy to clipboard. Then keep track of that. Put in your little text file. I'm going to save this. Now, in my editor, it's showing in multiple lines. However, this is one single line, okay? There's no line break here. If I turn off the auto line break, the word wrap, you're going to see that it's one single long line, okay? I just make it look like this just so you can see everything. So here's the first connection string. I need to change two pieces of information here. One is the password. The password, it says, put your password here. You have to get rid of the curly braces too. You have to get rid of everything. Don't leave the curly braces there, okay? I'll repeat again. Don't leave the curly braces. What is the password? Here's the password. See, we are using solo code, in my case here, solocoder-user. Here's the user ID already in place. See? So I just have to set the password, okay? So I'm going to set that. I'm going to get rid of this one here, including the curly braces. I'm going to put the passwords. This is the first thing that we change in the connection string. The second one is this parameter here that says multiple active result sets. We change this from false to true. This is just a setting that will allow, well, multiple active result sets. Multiple connections at the same time without giving problems, okay? So change this to true as well. So we change two things. We set the passwords and we change multiple active result sets from false to true. This is the first connection string. We have to do this for both connection strings, okay? So I'm going to go back to Azure, go back to SQL database, and do the same for the identity database. Connection strings, I'll click here to get the connection string. Show database connection string. Here is the second one. We can see the database here. Initial catalog, this is where the database is defined. The name of the database, identity, okay? Because we're using the identity database. So again here, I can click copy, and if I go back, I'll paste this here. And once again, I have to change the passwords and the multiple active result sets from false to true. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to set from false to true. So here I have the identity, and here I have the products, just to okay, so I have two connection strings. What should I do with those connection strings?
Copy those to your admin.
To the application. Eh? Hold on a second, 1 second with that one. Let's see here. Let's just recap things. So what do we have so far? We have the server name, we have the username, the password, the database names, we have the connection strings, we have pretty much everything that we need to be able to connect for the first time with our database. Now let's give it a try. Let's try to connect from our Visual Studio to SQL database. We have done that many times locally, but let's do now with a remote database, okay? So let's give it a try. Let's go to Visual Studio, and let's go to View, SQL Server, Object Explorer. And we're going to try to connect to our new databases, okay? So I'm going to flip here to Visual Studio. And by the way, the source code that I'm using here, that I'm running here, is this one. If you go to Centennial, if you go to Content, Source Codes, Chapter 12, the very last one here, the one that says Part 9. This Part 9 file, it has a little bit more details about how to create users and roles as well. So if you go to models, you're going to see that the identity seed data, it has 2 users and 2 roles. So again, if you use this one, you can log in with the user John or Paul, and the passwords are here, located under identity seed data. So again, on Centennial, the very last one under Chapter 12 is Part 9. You can use this as your starting, as your project to be deployed, okay? Okay, so I have it open here already in Visual Studio. What I'm going to do, I don't care about the code for now. I'm going to go to View, SQL Server, Object Explorer. Because I have already connected this before, I'm going to disconnect. And here, by default, you're going to be able to see your local databases, okay? You're going to add a new one. When this add SQL server is not really not going to be creating anything. You're just going to be opening a connection to your new database, okay? So we're going to click there. Again, very important to follow this as close as possible. Server name, what is a server name? Is this whole thing here. This entire line, not just this, but so-called, in my case, of course, you're going to have a different setup there. .database, .windows, .net, okay? So this is the server. And again, you can see that if you go back to Azure. If you go back to home, you can go to resources, and you can see, well, actually, it's even simpler than that, sorry. You can go to the connection string, and you can see under server, it shows right here. Okay?
Sorry, so in Visual Studio, how do you open that?
This one here in Visual Studio, you can go to View, SQL Server Object Explorer.
And then from where from there?
It should show up. Well, for some reason, mine is not showing up again. Maybe a bug that we have to report. Oh, it's already showing up. I mean, going crazy here. Okay, so it's already, so again, View, SQL Server Object Explorer, and then you click plus to add a new SQL Server. So that's how it comes up, okay? Now, here's the address of my database. Again, always copy and paste, don't type. Use authentication, SQL Server authentication. Username, you have created that. You have hopefully stored that. So username, I have it here. Password, I have it here. I would recommend that you check the box that says remember password, so it saves and it won't keep asking you all the time. Do not select database name here. Don't select that, because otherwise you're going to only see one database. Leave it blank like this, because then you're going to see both databases at once in your view. But then, once you have server name, authentication, username, password, remember password, hit connect. Now, this is where you're going to have a problem if you are running in the wireless network of the college. It won't connect. You won't be able to do this that we just did. It won't work, okay? Again, it will work from home. It will work if you are using your data plan. It will work if you're using the workstations at the college, okay? Now, we have a new entry in our SQL service here. Okay, so I can expand this, and I can expand databases. Takes a little bit of time. I can see identity, and I can see products. I can see both databases. Question?
No.
Nope. Just stretching. Okay, so identity and products. We have both databases. Let's have a look at if they have any tables inside. Should it have any tables at this point? No, we didn't create yet, but let's have a peek. So I expand, takes a little bit of time there. I'm going to click tables as well. Again, a little bit more time, but nothing will show up. I'll do the same for products. Anyway, let it go. Yeah. It won't show up anything. So basically, there's nothing underneath them. Now, So we've tested the database connection. Now we're going to have to connect the application to our new databases so we can create what on those databases? What is it that we have to create on them? The tables. We have to create the structures, okay? But if we have a look at app settings, we still have the local connection string. The connection string to our local DB, not to the remote one. You may think, okay, I can just change the connection string and connect to the live one. You could. However, there is a better approach that I want to show you, which is you can create a second app settings just to store the information of the live system. Because then, imagine this, you are developing and then you are deploying and developing and deploy. You develop locally, you deploy remotely. So every time you're going to deploy, you're going to change the connection string. So you're going to be changing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It doesn't make too much sense, okay? So what you can do is, we can create a second app settings file with a very particular name. You're going to right-click the project, go to Add, New Item, and then from here, go to Web. Sorry. Go to ASP.NET and, yeah. So you can see this object that says app settings file. It will give by default a file called app settings1. We're going to delete that one and you're going to say dot. Again, it has to be very precisely like this. No spaces, no dashes, exactly like this. Dot production. So again, the name of the file is app settings plural dot production. Exactly like that. I'm going to hit add and it creates a new file for me. App settings dot production dot JSON. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to clear this because I don't care about this default connection string. I'm going to go back to my original file, to my original app settings. I'm going to select everything there because I want the same structure. But of course, I don't want this connection string. I want to add my own connection string. So in the second one, we're going to set the live connection strings. So now we are able to keep the development app string, connection strings and the live connection strings, okay? With two different files. I'm going to copy my connection string file, my connection string information. I'm going to paste it there.
Sorry, is it okay if it shows app settings.production.json?
Underneath. Yes, it is okay. It's okay. It's just a visual thing that I've seen both cases. My case here, it shows below like this. But yeah, it's okay if it shows underneath. That's fine. And then the identity connection string, it's there as well. I'm going to copy and paste right here. Again, no spaces, no line breaks. Make sure that you really are just doing copy and paste so things will not, you're not going to get typos, okay? Great. Let me see here if you have any questions going around. Okay. Again, any questions?
Could you just go back? Could you open
The what?
Oh no, just the JSON file?
Yeah. So the reason why mine is showing like multiple lines is just because I set up the editor to break the lines so I don't have to scroll horizontally. And it shows this little curved arrow at the end of each line. Okay. Okay, so we have connection strings. Then what? We have created our new app settings. We have copied the content of app settings. We have changed the connection strings to the live ones. Now we will have to create our tables. Let's use Package Manager to do that. So for that, let's go to View, Other Windows, and let's go to Package Manager console. Don't know why it's opening like this on mine. Let me see if I can. Okay. Okay, so I have Package Manager open here. I'm gonna just expand this. Here's the thing. I'm gonna have to write two commands here. One to create, because here's the thing. Migration scripts, they are already created here. So I don't have to create the migration scripts again. They are already created. I have to run them. I have to apply them to the new database, okay? So I'm gonna run both those commands. What is it that the first one does? The first command there. What is it that it does? Which database? Yeah, which database is that? Products, okay? So it's creating the database, or is it, what is it doing exactly? The link is the connection string. Again, what is this command doing? So, and what is the result after we type that? What is the end result? What happens? Create the tables. So it creates the tables. So the first one create the tables for the products. The second one create the tables for the identity database, for the users, okay? However, if I copy those commands right now and I run them in Package Manager, it will run in the local DB. Because nowhere yet I said to use the production settings instead of this one here. So if I run, actually we can try that. If I try to run this one here, it will say that it's already created. There's nothing there. Let's give it a try. So you see what it says? No migrations were applied. Because my local databases are already created, the tables are already there, there's nothing to be applied. So I need to run these commands on the live Azure database. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to have to use something called this environment variable. Environment variable is a variable, but it's a variable that is stored on your Windows OS, okay? And in our case here, it's very specific to Package Manager. So I have to, if I run this command here without equal to production, it's just going to read the environment variable, the value. See, right now, when I do that, nothing shows up. It's just telling me that this variable right now is empty. There's nothing on it. Because there's nothing on it, it will call app settings whenever I run the migration scripts. However, I can change the value from nothing to production. When I do that, it will run the second one instead. So what I can do, I can say $env column ASP netcore underscore environment equals to, let me see if it's 1 or 2, equals to production. So again, that's why it's very important to match this name here with the name that you have given right here in the new app settings. Yes, so exactly. This will change the environment. Instead of using the local one, it will use the production one. When I hit enter here, I set the variable value, and if I try to read it again, now it shows production. See, now it shows, when I try to read, it shows production instead. So now, when I run the migration command, it will run against this set of settings, not for the first one. Let it sink a little bit there. Questions? Yes.
The production name can be any name, but have to be the same as that one.
Yes. It could be any name as long as it matches whatever you put here. Whatever you name, however you name the app settings. App settings dot whatever dot JSON. Then you have to say ASP.NET Core environment equals to whatever, so they match. Okay? Yep. No, it's not. Now let's give it a try. Let's go to our command. And let's run this. Now again, this is another step that if you are doing in the wireless network of Centennial, it will not work, okay? You have to be doing it in the workstation or with your data plane. So I paste it there, I'm gonna hit enter. And now, again, it's creating everything on Azure. Actually, the creation part is quite quick. So we run this in the DB context, in the application DB context. So if we refresh our products database, we should see what now? The tables. So I'm going to right-click, very specific, I'm going to right-click in the products database. I'm going to go to refresh. It takes a little bit of time. It looks like it's stuck. No, I click, but nothing happens. Let it do its magic there. Okay, this really looks stuck. No, it came back. Okay, so then expand tables again. Let it come up.
You need a faster data.
Well, let's talk to Azure. But once the application is running, it's quite fast. It's just that this table, and now it's taking really, and again, it might be many different things. Might be my data, but I don't think it is. I think it's just Azure here being slow. Okay, now it's taking too long. Usually it's a little bit faster than that.
Do you remember to refresh?
I did. I did the refreshing. Let me try it again here. I'm going to refresh the whole thing. Okay, let me run the second one already. And then I'll try to disconnect and reconnect. Let's see, I'm going to run the second one for the second database. Let's see if we have better luck there in the first one, in the identity. Okay, database here showing a little bit strange. Okay, so the first one is showing just fine. But the second one, it's a little bit strange here. What we have, let's see. Let me try again, refresh, tables. Again, if we don't see errors here, it's because it went, see, now it came up quickly. So the tables on products, they are, the tables on the products database, it's okay there. The tables on the identity database, they are here as well. We have tables. Now we should be able to try what? What should we be able to do now? Can we run? Can we run this? Yep.
Why does it have tables for identity?
What is that?
The for identity database doesn't have any table. Did you run it twice or something?
No, I did not. Yours, it does not have? Just refresh. Just refresh it. Refresh again. Make sure that you don't refresh the just tables. Refresh the database. Again, it's common not to see it immediately. But if you run the script, did you run both scripts? Because if you did you run both? No, I'm talking about those two. Did you run both?
You run it twice?
No, both. Those are different. They are different. The first one is for the product database. The second one is for the identity database. Make sure that you run both of them. Okay? They are similar but different. See, application DB context and app identity DB context. Okay, so now we see the tables. Now we run. But it can always be a little bit more complicated, isn't it? So what we did for the environment variables here, it was just for the package manager, for us to be able to create the tables there. Now we have to do something similar so that when we run our application, it will run against Azure settings here, not against our local settings. How do we do that? Well, for that last step, we have to set a similar environment variable, but in the project settings this time. So we have to go to the project on Visual Studio, right-click, go to Properties, from here, go to Debug, and under Debug, you're going to see the environment variable, the one that we set up, but the one that we set up is just related to the package manager, not to the application here. So we have to do something similar to the ASP.NET Core environment variable for our application. We have to replace development with production. Not only we change here, but we save this as well. Save, make sure that it's saved. Okay? By doing that, when we run the application, it will read the connection strings from app settings.production.json. Again, very common to see students misspelling production, either here or here in the name of the file. Again, make sure that they are not misspelled. Now I can run the application. If I run it, the data that I'm going to see, I will see the data from Azure. So this data is coming from Azure. No, but here's the thing. We are just connecting to the database. We did not do what yet? We're missing one step here. Deploy what? The application. We didn't deploy the application. We deployed the database, but not the application. So we are running the application still locally, but we are accessing now the database that is on Azure. Azure, however you want to call it. Okay, but how can I prove that? How can I prove that this data is not my local data? I don't believe me.
No, I believe you.
But how can we prove? Again, if you are asked to prove that this data is the live one, not the local one, how would you do that? Go back to Azure?
Do you see the data on?
We don't. Not in Azure. But there is a way to do that. What is the way that you can do that? That you can check the data. How can you do that? Let's make a change here. How about we change Kayak for something else? Let's go to the back end. So admin/index. And let's log in as John. Again, remember, no, this one here is not admin, it's John. Let's make a change to Kayak. Let's say Kayak Azure. So now what? How can I check that? How can I check that this is really there, not here?
Check your local
I could. That would be a starting point. But again, look at what we have already there. What can we do very easily to check that? We can go to the table. We can right click and we can view data. Now this takes a little bit of time as well, because again the application is usually faster than the development in Azure, but here it is, you see? The change that we did. If I change here, if I run the application again, we have the change here, okay? So the data is really coming from Azure. Now, again, before I proceed, any questions so far? Again, lots of steps. Lots and lots of steps. So this is what we have done so far. So we saved it, we run it, and now we see the data. We have database created live, we have database populated live. Now we need to publish our application. Okay? How do we do that? Well, very, very simple. We just have to hit publish here. See, we go to our project, we right click, and we click on publish. Okay? So we have a publish there. A few notes about this. So we're going to be creating a new app service in Azure for our application, okay? So keep this selected, create new, and then you hit publish. When you do that, you have to log in with the same accounts that you have created your Azure accounts, okay? You may have 2 accounts, you may have, I don't know, but make sure that the account that you are logged in is the same account that you created your databases on Azure, okay? From here, very simple, you have app name. That app name, by default, it comes with the project name and then a long date stamp, date and time stamp, okay? So you can change this, but this has to be unique in the entire Azure. So, I don't know, I can try something like Sports Store, sec007, and again, it's not giving me an error, so I'm okay with that, to use that name. Again, use a different name if you are doing with me, together. Subscription, use free trial. Resource group, keep the one that you have created originally. Hosting plan, you can leave this. Leave this as the default name here. Leave it as is. I have not made any changes here in my previous demonstrations. This has worked well. Just leave it like that. Application insights, keep it as none. And from here, I will hit create. Again, takes a little bit of time to get through this, but you just have to wait. In the end, it will provide you with a URL, a live URL, and it will load the browser automatically for you with that URL loaded on it. Now, hopefully it works fine. If it doesn't work fine, you try again. If it doesn't work fine again, what you do? You try again. Okay? So, because again, sometimes the first time doesn't work, the second time doesn't work, the third time doesn't work, eventually it will work. Okay? So I'm going to hit create. It will start the process, deploying step 1. I can tell you there is no step 2, it's just step 1. Okay? And then we wait. Yep. What's up?
Yeah, Visual Studio doesn't work.
Does it work there? Okay.
Visual Studio, yeah, but how can I extract from here?
How do you extract?
Yeah, from here.
You have to copy the file, copy to your local system. Okay, and you right click, you just paste it there. Right click. Unzip. Unzip. Unzip.
Well,
You just unzip.
Yeah, WinZip and then unzip to
Yep.
blah blah. Unzip afterwards.
Not to here, because right click. Go to. Let's not go to unzip because it seems that the zip is
extract.
yeah not so go to go to 7-zip, go there, keep going down, no, right there next to the no yes great. So there's a folder now,
Oh, yeah.
and then you open from the folder. Okay. Yes. Okay, you try again.
Try again.
You try again.
It's negative.
Alright, try.
Yeah. So,
Oh, you.
so you see,
Yeah. But it's
there has occurred. Okay, go to Azure, see if you see any error message there. We're gonna troubleshoot in the second half of the class. Okay, gonna be troubleshoots. Anyway, you see here, it starts to deploy. It's starting to deploy here, as you can see. When you see this bunch of messages, it's a good sign because the files are being sent there. Again, all files are being sent. And now it opens the browser, and we cross our fingers.
Can you, like, you know how the URLs kind of has Azure website or .NET?
Yep.
If you were doing like a professional kind of,
You can set up your own domain,
yeah.
and you can set this up on Azure as well to point to your own domain. Yes, you can do that. Okay, so we have a problem. Houston. Okay, so what do? We refresh, we try again, and now it works. So again, we never know. Again, if you get an error, refresh the page again. But if you keep getting the same errors, because something wrong happened when you were deploying. So I'm going to show you now how you can redeploy. Okay? I'm going to make a small change in the title, just so I can prove that we are actually redeploying. I'm going to go back to the application. I'm going to say, under the title here, I'm going to put the section number. So I'm going to go to our views, shared, layout. I'm going to just change Sports Store, sec007, and the title as well, sec007. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to redeploy. So I'm going to go back to the project, right-click, go to Publish again. Now, you no longer have to go through the initial setup that you did before. The second deployment is very simple. You just go here, click Publish, and it will do the compilation and the publishing. See? And it will launch the browser automatically for us as well once it's done. So it's launched. Let's have a look at the title and see if it's changed. So you see the titles? The title here, it has been changed. So we have redeployed. Okay? So again, now you can, if you want to give it a try in this URL, so you can verify. Again, you can give it a try there.
So every time you make a change, you have to publish.
Well,
Or is it like a live stream?
well, yeah, here's the thing. I mean, if this is a real live application, you're going to do your work locally. Once you are done, then you publish. You don't keep publishing everything because you are not developing live. Otherwise, you're going to be developing your application live. So what you do is we develop locally. Once we are done with whatever number of changes we need to get done, we publish all of them. Okay? Okay, so we did this. Again, you can see step by step in the PDF. Okay. Okay, let's do this. Let's go for a 10 minutes break. Once we come back, we're gonna try that ourselves, and you're gonna see what kind of hiccups you're gonna go through. Okay. So again, 10 minutes, and we will be back.